Let's make things clear. We're here to take an honest look at nuclear, its capabilities, and its contribution to a more sustainable energy network. Nuclear has had an ever-increasing role in our lives since Becquerel discovered radioactivity in 1896. So how does it work? Nuclear energy uses materials such as uranium, which release energy when it's split into smaller elements. Uranium is mined, which means that it's not a renewable energy source, but it is extremely common in the Earth's crust, meaning that it can be treated as sustainable. Importantly, it releases zero carbon emissions when producing electricity, like renewable sources of electricity. If we compare it to the amount of material needed to generate energy, 1 kilogram of nuclear fuel produces millions of times more energy than 1 kilogram of coal. To put that into perspective, a kilogram of coal would power a 40-watt light bulb for 6 days. A kilogram of uranium would power the same bulb for over 1,000 years. The process of generating energy in nuclear power is called nuclear fission, which begins by colliding an atom of uranium with a neutron. It is then split into 2 or more fragments and releases a large amount of energy. During this reaction, more neutrons are ejected, which cause further divisions, and thus more energy. This is called chain reaction. The heat from this reaction boils water to produce steam that drives turbines to create electricity. In a nuclear reactor, water and graphite are used to slow down these neutrons to control the chain reaction. There are many different nuclear reactors which contain and control the chain reactions. They essentially work in the same way and are at the heart of nuclear power plants. A large nuclear reactor makes large amounts of electricity and it needs a lot of water to stay cool. It's usually placed near the sea so that a water supply can be easily incorporated within the system to help with cooling. A small modular reactor is a fraction of the size of a conventional nuclear power reactor and has more flexibility with where it can be situated due to its smaller footprint. As they are manufactured in a modular way, each module can be fabricated in a factory and transported to the site. Therefore, cost and build time are potentially more certain. These new manufacturing technologies can help us to speed up the process of building new plants and help secure nuclear energy in the wider energy mix. Nuclear energy has many benefits, and it's not just providing us with a constant supply of electricity. Existing and new plants create socio-economic growth, helping to ensure a sustainable future for our communities through job creation, skills development, and business opportunities. They also contribute to making the areas attractive places to live and work. The UK's civil nuclear industry contributed £700 million to the Welsh economy in 2021. Directly employing over 800 people and supporting a total of 10,700 jobs across the country. Between them, the nuclear power stations at Wilver and Trawsfynydd employed many hundreds of people for over 40 years of generation and have the potential to employ many more in the future. Investing in nuclear energy also means a cleaner and healthier environment for us as it reduces greenhouse gas emissions. That's good for us and the planet. Using nuclear energy means we don't have to rely on other countries for electricity. We can make our own power, which makes us more independent and secure. Having a healthy and varied nuclear research community in the UK also leads to new scientific discoveries. Scientists and engineers learn exciting things about atoms and energy while working with nuclear power and develop other uses for nuclear systems, including medicine generation, decarbonising industry, and sustainable chemical production. The UK has set a goal of reaching net zero by 2050. This means we will be removing more or the same amount of greenhouse gases from the atmosphere than we create. Renewable energy sources like wind and solar are reliant on weather conditions to produce electricity. Nuclear, on the other hand, can keep running and producing energy come rain or shine. We need nuclear as a reliable and consistent part of the energy mix. Currently, nuclear power makes up around 15% of the UK energy mix. But on average, 40% of the total is still made up by fossil fuels. It's anticipated that the UK's renewable capacity will increase dramatically over the next decade due to plans that are already in action to increase offshore wind's output from 11 gigawatts to 50 gigawatts by 2030. Meanwhile, solar capacity could grow 5 times from 14 gigawatts to roughly 70 gigawatts in the same period. Currently, there are 9 nuclear power reactors operating across 4 sites in the UK. However, almost half of the UK's current nuclear capacity is due to be decommissioned by 2025, and only 1 new plant is currently under construction. If no other new nuclear power stations are built, the UK's nuclear capacity in 2050 will be a third of what it is today. Any future nuclear power station depends on a huge team of dedicated and skilled people. There's a need for more scientists and engineers in the UK, along with the promotion of subjects like science and engineering in our schools to nurture homegrown talent. By embracing nuclear power and integrating it with other renewable energy sources, we can create a diversified and resilient energy network. We're going to take a closer look at nuclear waste and how it's managed. The amount of waste is tiny for the energy nuclear produces. Nuclear is actually the only sector that tracks, manages and pays for its own waste. With nuclear, the waste is containable, and all the high-level waste in the UK amounts to about the size of a dishwasher tablet per person. If you stored all the UK's high-level waste in a single layer, it would cover 1,465 square metres, or 1/4 of a football pitch. When we look at the waste from burning fossil fuels, it's a different story. Air pollution is released that harms our health and generates emissions that are the driving force behind climate change. Some types of nuclear waste require large amounts of cooling for the first few years, so they get stored in large pools to cool down over time. Once the spent fuel is cooled, it's put into sealed casks, which are then stored above ground. In the future, it's proposed that waste will be buried deep underground in stable rock, as it maintains its stability for thousands or even millions of years. It will then be surrounded by clay or cement as an extra layer of protection. Nuclear waste needs to be stored, and new systems are being designed and constructed to build deep underground storage. These are called repositories. Here, they will stay as far away from people and our environment. Scientists are always looking for better ways to manage nuclear waste. They try to reduce its size, find other ways to use it in other applications, or make it less harmful over time. Let's talk about nuclear radiation. We know radiation is a bit of a scary word, so let's look a little closer. Our average annual ionizing radiation dose in the UK is 2.7 millisieverts. This is the average accumulated background radiation dose to an individual for 1 year. The level of ionizing radiation that could lead to radiation sickness is 1 sievert all at once. More than 300 times higher than this amount. The World Health Organization says it's safer to work in a nuclear power plant than in a big city office, due to urban air pollution, which causes up to 7 million deaths per year. Only 0.005% of the average person's yearly radiation dose comes from nuclear power, which is the same amount you get from eating 1 banana, which contains radioactive potassium. This is 200 times less than taking a return flight to New York, and 100 times less than what we get from coal, which contains radioactive particles that are released into the atmosphere when the coal is burned. Nuclear can contribute to a world where we have abundant, clean and reliable energy at our fingertips. A world where we can power our homes, hospitals, schools and industries without harming the environment. Nuclear energy provides us with a viable solution. It offers the energy density and efficiency necessary to meet our growing needs, while significantly reducing carbon emissions. For more information, check out the resources in the caption.